and welcome. I'm Excellent, and this is my podcast. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Tracy. How are you?
Oh my goodness, it is. It's something that happens every time when we start. It'll settle down. Do you have a fan on, by the way?
No?
Okay.
Right,
All right.
listen. Listen.
Okay.
Fan on, fan off.
Okay, sounds good. You have the loudest clock I've ever heard in my life.
It's only a tiny little crappy thing for the pound shop.
Holy crap. Anyway, hello, peoples. Rob's here.
Hello. Hello.
Um,
Hello.
So, anything new and interesting going on in your life, Rob?
Not really. My wheelchair broke last night, so that was new and interesting.
Well, yes. Uh, I've been painting a lot, so and listening to music a lot because I'm in all honesty, Exolite is in the exit dark right now, and kind of just trying to keep my head above water. How is that for deep and dark? Hello, welcome.
We had some ducks down a well. I mean, does that count?
That is so small town English village. Oh my god. Did you hear what happened? I'm not obviously doing an accent because, you know, I'll get my ass kicked. The ducks fell down the well. The ducks.
Yeah.
Jesus wept. What are we going to do about that? The whole town gathers and they end up calling the rescue team, right?
The well, we phoned the RSPCA who didn't want
Yeah.
to know basically.
They just wanted the ducks to die.
Yes. So well, I'll leave that there. Let you make your own decisions. So we mountain rescue. We rang them, and well, I didn't ring anyone. Nigel rang the mountain rescue, and they were brilliant. And they came out and they saved the ducks. The ducks
Mountain
have been
rescue.
saved. Mountain rescue. Shout out to the mountain rescue.
See, small town English village. Mountain rescue sitting around. Like, do you have mountains to rescue?
We have lots of mountains. We're out on the top of a mountain.
But do you rescue them?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, you know,
Yeah. You
when the
start to.
mountain might fall into a valley, we help it back up
Oh,
again.
brilliant. I think
It's
that's
good, that
brilliant.
wasn't it? That was good,
Yeah,
that
it
wasn't
was. It actually was. Yeah. Nice. No, it's called the Irish SPA,
it? Hey,
PCA, Irish Animal
RS,
Peoples,
R
RS,
Royal Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Animals.
but it's Irish.
Why is it Irish? What's got Irish got to do with it?
Did you say we call the Irish blah blah blah?
The RS.
Oh, an idiot. I'm gonna start this over. All right. I didn't need that. I didn't need that. I told you I'm in a bad place. I don't need you piling on. Okay. What are we talking about today, Rob?
I don't know. The Appalachians. Is it
Yeah, we're
is
gonna
it
talk about what?
is it Appalachius or Appalachian?
Appalachian.
Appalachian.
Yes, and here's something I learned in my homework. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There is a difference between what? There is a difference between folklore and legend. Because we were going to do Appalachian folklore, and I found out that folklore is an untrue story, that it's known by the teller and the listener that the story is not true, where legend is quote unquote true. Are you thirsty?
Well, yeah, that's why I've just had a drink of coffee.
Okay,
Funnily enough.
I'll wait. Sounded like a tidal wave coming right at me. Is the microphone in your throat?
Just carry on.
Okay, so
Smart.
legends are quote unquote true stories passed down through generations, through family members, through storytelling. Um, and so I'm going to be doing some of each, I think, legendy folklore thing. And the reason I wanted to do this was because for anybody who has TikTok, and I'm embarrassed to admit it, and I do.
I do.
Yes. And I follow some women from several different women accounts from the Appalachian Mountains, and they are interesting. And it's from like older women through women in their 20s. They all have the same basic um, history and of stories and legends. Um, every single one of them, I've heard them say this, and I'm not kidding. Every single one, they start out their videos by saying this: people want to go to the Appalachian Mountains to see what it's like because of all the stuff they've heard. I'm going to give you. What are you doing, Rob? Settle down.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
Yeah,
You
I
need
am. Thank
something?
you. No, I'm okay now. Sorry, I apologise to everybody. I was trying to not sneeze then.
Oh, okay. All right. You good?
Yeah,
You
I
hold
think
your
so.
breath.
Yeah.
Okay. So they say this. Here's the rules for being in the Appalachian Mountains that everybody needs to follow when they're out trying to explore and find the weird things in the Appalachian Mountains. P.S. You don't find weird things, they find you. Um, and if you go into the forest and you end up on somebody's property, just your minutes are numbered. Just be fair warned. They don't give a fuck who you are or that you're on vacation trying to catch a ghost or a weem away or whatever those things are called. That's what are they called, Rob?
Um,
Why?
Windigo, not Windigo.
Wendigos. Wendigos.
Wendigo.
They don't care that you're trying to find a Wendigo. They just want you off your property. So it's like basically no laws there. So this is what they say: if you hear someone call your name, don't be stupid. Don't turn around. If you hear footsteps behind you, do not turn around. If you hear a screaming baby in the woods, no, you don't. If you hear a screaming woman in the woods, you do not. If you hear anybody calling out and asking you for help, you do not try and help. These are things that are going to kill you. So, better to just stay at home than to go investigate in the Appalachian Mountains. So, that's where we're jumping off from.
You know what's going to
Part
happen, don't you, Chase?
people are going to go to the Appalachian Mountains.
People are going to be in the Appalachian Mountains and something's going to happen, and the police are going to interview them, and they're going to go, "Why didn't you stop for the baby, for the woman, for the man, for the footsteps?"
Yeah.
And they're going to say, "Well, Tracy told me not to."
Yeah. Well, sorry. That baby can get some help from its own family. Or Wendigo. Let some Wendigo help that baby. That that baby is a Wendigo. Do not take that. Okay. So, if you do go to the Appalachian Mountains and you do try and search for things, please send me the video because I want to at least see your last moments. All right. So this is a starting off place. This is going to be continued on my end in Halloween because I don't know if you know this or not, but it's almost July. That means it's almost October. And in October, there are 31 days. And every single day, there will be content for you. It'll be scary. It'll be interesting. It'll be mysterious. It will be a learning experience. It will be everything you've ever dreamed of in 31 days and more. There will be readings from dark writings. There will be mysterious disappearances. There will be murder, mayhem, and maybe laughter. We don't know. It's not to say that those are separated. So hold on, click that bell, be notified because October is right around the corner. I can hear it right now. Yeah, it's right there. Smell it. Yes. All right. Can we start on this, please?
You're the one that's going on about October.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay. I'm gonna start. So there.
Go on then, just crack on.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you a story. Are you ready?
We're all ready, Trace.
All right. All right. There's a small town called Belfry outside of the tiny but growing city of Pikeville. And Pikeville is nestled in the heart of eastern Kentucky. Pikeville is home to one of the scariest and most realistic stories, being buried alive. In 1889, Octavia Smith was married to James Hatcher, who was one of the richest men in town. Their marriage was short, and they only had one son because he passed away shortly after birth. Octavia fell into a grave depression, and she couldn't get out of bed for months. You know, there's a mute button when you want to take those ginormous sips.
I can't breathe, I can't drink. You know, things I can do.
Everybody's like, poor Rob, poor Rob. I know, I feel it too. Okay. Oh, but I have some stories to tell about Rob if we would like to. Okay. Stop now. Octavia fell into a grave depression after her child died. She stayed in bed for months, which sounds like me. And then she became very, very ill, and she slipped into a coma. The doctors could not wake her. They didn't know what to do. About 5 months after the death of her son, doctors pronounced Octavia dead as well from unknown causes on May 2nd, 1891. The funeral took place immediately, and she was buried in the Pikeville Cemetery. As legend has it, others in the town started to fall ill with similar comatose symptoms. The rumored illness was sometimes called sleeping sickness, and it turns out that it was caused by the tsetse fly. Now, here's the problem. Those people who fell into a coma eventually did wake up. And pretty soon, James realized that his wife probably became ill with the sleeping sickness as well, and therefore
Oh,
she would likely have woken up.
oh,
So he rushed to the cemetery to exhume her coffin to find a horrifying sight. His wife had, in fact, been buried alive. And when she woke up from her sleeping sickness, She found herself in her coffin. Her fingernails were broken and bloody. She had scratched the lining of her coffin and tried to scratch off the skin on her face. She looked as though she had seen something terrifying, her face frozen into a scream, covered with scratches and tears. Her husband built a monument of her holding their son in her arms, and across the town he built a hotel that faced the monument. Vandals took the baby off the monument, and to this day it's laying on the ground next to Octavia. For a long time, people thought that on the anniversary of her death, that she would turn her back on the city out of anger. This turned out to be a wicked prank done by college students. However, there are things that cannot be explained. Crying out in the night, misty apparitions, and a baby crying for its mother. There you go.
That's really, really scary.
Yeah.
Can you
You're
imagine
loud
that?
again. You're loud again. I don't know what your speaker does. I can't even imagine. I We were just talking. It's funny because we were just talking about that kind of thing before we started this.
Waking up in your coffin.
That's why they're supposed to have bells in them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have a coffin. I'm gonna be cremated. So I still want a bell, just in case. All right, you gonna tell us about something about the Appalachians and the legends and folklore?
I certainly am. Taken by
You are
mystery.
loud, my friend.
Oh, Chase, I don't know what it is. I'm
I
only
don't
using it.
either.
What about now? I'm
Yes, you
still
just loud,
loud.
but you just loud, but now you're whispering really loud. It's okay. Whatever.
Okay. What about now?
It's
Can I
very
do a
calming.
podcast?
It's very calming. I think I'll go to sleep. Keep talking.
Okay. In 1988.
1988.
In 1988. God.
I'm gonna drink my coffee too.
Okay. In 1988, a man was hiking along the trail when he underwent an awful experience, perhaps more frightening than a ghostly encounter.
More frightening than a ghost encounter?
More frightening than a ghostly encounter. There's an echo in here.
Mm. What's more frightening than that?
He was hiking on the trail when he noticed a bright light coming from the forest next to him. Not wanting to bother anyone, he didn't investigate, but set
Oh,
up
yeah.
camp somewhere close. He
Sounds like he
set
was
up.
British. I don't really want to bother anybody.
Listen to this then. He woke up in the middle of the night to find a man standing over his hammock. Startled,
Oh, no.
the man quickly fled and yelled to unseen people that the hiker was awake. The hiker was terrified and quickly
Oh,
packed
shit.
up as much as to put as much distance between him as possible. A few days on, the non-stop hiking finally allowed the hiker to relax a little bit. But that night he was sleeping in his hammock, and suddenly he was cut down, wrapped up, dragged away, and beaten can't say this word, mercil-
Mercilessly.
mercilessly, while people shouted to one another that they were preparing something lucky. The hiker was able to cut through the hammock and escaped, Even though he made it back to civilization, police inquiries into finding the people who kidnapped him came back with nothing. So the police tried to find out who had done this, but which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because how are you supposed to find a group of people in the Appalachian Mountains?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they thought they had set up camp out there close to him or something, and they would find them in our campgrounds. They
It,
weren't alive, though. We know that. I mean, they're in the Appalachian Mountains, right? We know that they're not really alive.
the bit that I don't understand, a few days of non-stop hiking finally
Yeah.
allowed the hikers to relax. What,
And
you
they
wouldn't
followed
relax.
him nonstop.
Yeah, you wouldn't stop and think, oh, I'm going to put my hammock up now and I'll be okay.
I guess maybe I don't know. At what point? Why do you just Why do you just hike out? I don't. Why not just hike out?
Exactly, exactly. Would you go hiking on your own?
I don't, but there are lots of people who do. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even. It wouldn't even cross my mind.
Saying that, I used to, when I first come out of the army, I used to go hiking on my own.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no, I wouldn't.
Well, me and the dog.
No, I just feel like that's asking for a certain kind of assault.
I did have a dog that was socially. He had um, a personality disorder. he
He
didn't like
assaulted you?
he didn't like people, so
Oh,
he did,
well,
he didn't like anything, to be honest. Only me.
well, so that was good. That was a good dog to take. My
Yeah.
dog, my Labrador, biggest sissy I've ever met. Okay, you want to hear another story? That was a good one. I like that one.
Yes, please, Tracy. Please tell some more.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to call this the Dingus Tunnel, even though it sounds laughable, but it could be the Dingus. I don't think so, though. Dingess. If I have butchered this in any way, you know, you will feel free to tell me about it. Okay, there's a little town that borders West Virginia very closely, and this is apparently some of the West Virginia folklore. The Dingus Tunnel. It started as a project for the railroad during the growth of the coal mines in the 1890s. However, building a tunnel of that size through such mountainous areas proved to be quite difficult. So the railroad company brought in immigrants to build the tunnel, and they brought in Italians, 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 Italians to build this tunnel. There was a lot of racism at the time, and the people of choice to be racist against at that moment were Italians. So they brought them in to work on the tunnel. Due to the prejudice and racism in the area in the 19th century, the locals did not take well to having these foreign people living in their small town. So legend says that the locals would stand at the entrance and exit of the tunnel, shooting anyone who didn't look to be Appalachian. It's also rumored that masked men would remove passengers from the trains and kill them if they didn't fit their preferred description. However, these murders were the only deaths within the tunnels. There have been reportedly 10 deaths from train wrecks in the tunnel. Due to the bloody history, or maybe just the discovery of a better trade route, the railroad moved from the hilly terrain of Dingus to the gentle slopes of the Big Sandy River. So the Dingus was left with just industrial activity after that. And for the most part, the
Ooh.
tunnel sat unused. By the 1960s, the tunnel was converted to use for roadway traffic. However, it is only wide enough for traffic to go one way. And the lack of light inside the tunnel makes it a dangerous feat for any driver. So they think that the tunnel is haunted, and those who drive through in the dark space are likely to feel the presence of somebody other than just themselves in their car.
Dun, dun, dun. What was that?
I don't know. It was the end. I'm gonna save the rest of those for All Hallows Eve month. All right, Rob, you got anything else you want to blow us away with?
I've got loads.
All right, let's do this.
Just a sec. Oh, better.
Do you know that I have coffee and tea and soda sitting here next to me? I'm needy.
I've just got juice.
I have diet root beer because I'm addicted. I don't know why.
What's root beer? What is root beer?
What the hell? You don't know what root beer
What?
is?
What
Okay,
the?
what the hell?
That's
Say that
very
again. Say it,
American.
Rob.
That was very American of you.
Say it for me.
Now, what? What the
Say
hell? Do you know, I was watching a documentary the other night. I was waiting for the football to come on about the royal family, about the Queen.
Oh.
Now, the Queen is very posh. And I was thinking of you when I was watching it. How you could completely take the piss out of the Queen and how she talks.
But would I? No. Why would I do that?
Yes.
I was watching a TikTok that was about what can rich people do that makes them fancy, but poor people do and it makes them trash. And one of them was marry your cousin. So the queen married her cousin, and he became a friggin' duke. But if you live in the United States and you marry your cousin, you're trash.
Well, yes. The Queen was looking back at some footage. She's probably in her 50s. She's looking back at when she was really young and the first world tour that she did.
Uh-huh.
And she was looking back at this footage and she was watching it. And she was sat there with her little handbag by her side. And she said, what did she say? She said, isn't one amused when one looks back at such beautiful and beautiful memories or some shit like that. And yeah, I just thought, speak properly. No one in the country speaks like you.
Yeah.
Only Tracy.
Well, yeah. Me. I'm exactly like the queen, but different. Well, I haven't married my cousin yet. There's still time. All of my cousins are girls, so it would be a whole change up.
Well, we've got Harry married to a mixed race young lady. So the next thing we're going to get is um, obviously a bit lesbian and gay someone in the royal family. So you know we're moving with the times. We're up there with the world. You know we're going to lead the way.
Oh, we had a black president. What are you talking about?
Well, presidents aren't the same as having a prime minister or a queen.
A prime minister. Presidents are kind of exactly the same as having a prime minister,
We've
aren't
had a
they? Isn't
woman.
it?
We've had a woman prime minister.
That's true. Whatever. Why are we talking about this?
I have no idea.
How do we get down this road?
Okay.
It's Pride Month. You'll be lucky if you have a lesbian prime minister. I and I'm pretty sure that the one you have right now is not
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll have to give you that.
Okay.
To give you that, Boris. Boris.
Boris. La, 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 la.
They couldn't have named him any better, could they? Boris.
Yeah, Boris. Ting.
Right.
That's for Mark, by the way. Ting. Some people like that I make that noise.
Could they?
Whatever floats their boat.
Anyway, going back to the podcast.
Merch, get back on the road.
A young couple were hiking in the Appalachian Trail in the southern part of Virginia when they experienced something they could not explain. While they were asleep in their tent one night, they would they, they suddenly woke up to the sound of rustling and odd noises coming from outside of the tent. The man went out to investigate and scare off some figures he saw lurking around. He almost chased after them, but decided against it. The next night, oh, this is clever. The next night, they made camp with their backs to a cliff in order to be prepared. That's clever. That's good.
Yeah.
Both slept with guns next to them, and sure enough, the figures returned. Once a man announced they were armed, the figures retreated. Next day, the couple hustled to get out there. Sorry, Tracy. Next day, the couple hustled to get out there. Around midday, they rounded a corner and saw a silhouette of a figure standing in the distance, watching them from afar. They quickly were able to get off the trail and back to civilization, but the whole time they felt like they were being watched. That's weird.
I don't like that.
So, just for argument's sake, for British people, if you were in their situation, you were armed, if you just went through the same kind of incident, people messing around or doing whatever they were doing, and you happened to shoot one of them, would you get in trouble?
Well, yeah.
You would.
Well, yeah. Unless you. Well, yeah. First off, are you in your tent when you shoot?
No, if you get out of your tent and they're running away, would you get in trouble?
Oh my God. If you ever shoot anybody that's running away, go ahead and put your own handcuffs on.
Even in Texas.
Yes. You can't shoot anybody in their back. I mean, I can't say for 100% sure, but I'm like 99% sure that you can't legally shoot somebody who's got their back to you and like leaving. That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is to get them to leave. I mean, and especially if they're just out like spooking you, trying to scare you, shoot somebody who's just pranking you. It's not gonna go that good. You have to be in actual fear for your life, or in Texas, you can be in fear of your possessions being stolen, which isn't a life sentence, in my personal opinion. But whatever, that's what the law is. And but I think the general rule of thumb is to most people. Otherwise, I think we'd have a lot more shootings on private property than we do, because there isn't that many actually on private property. Is to be in fear for your life.
I suppose you could have got out of the tent and fired a couple up in the air, couldn't you?
That's illegal.
Is it?
Yeah. Although you're out in the middle of nowhere, so I mean, who's gonna know? But in general, yes, that's illegal. Bullets come down, and they kill people when they do. So that's illegal. You're not allowed to fire warning shots. Pull out a gun, you better have it in your mind that this is an important enough situation that you're in fear for your life and you're willing to use it. Otherwise, don't.
What about if you find it into the floor?
Warning shot. I guess that it's still a warning shot. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
I suppose that's something that is above my pay grade. That would be have to be looked at by like now if you walked out and you fired it to the ground to scare somebody and you were in a woods situation like that. I mean, who's gonna I never recommend breaking the law. I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. Sorry, I'm backing you into a corner here.
That doesn't mean it's a real life situation, but I'm not gonna sit out here and recommend. What am I doing right now? Just stop.
So, Tracy, if you're in a room with someone,
I'm gonna open the door and kindly ask them to leave. Duh. Okay, let's. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna do what I'd like to do is like some Appalachian superstition that's you know that's passed down from you know person to person to person, generation to generation. Okay, is that okay?
yeah, do you know what we should do? Not this just came to my head now.
What?
From a podcast maybe for over Halloween, maybe we should do some superstitions, and we should make some superstitions up,
Mm.
and you have to guess which is real and which is not.
Ooh, are you able to jot that down right now or no?
Um, ow.
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'll read this. When two people of the same name live in a house, ghosts will stay away. Does that mean the first and last name? Like you're both named James
Windsor.
Stilton? Yeah, Windsor. And we're back with the royal family. um, that's weird because, okay, whatever. Never carry an axe or a hoe into a house. It means death. Oh, my husband bring a hoe in my house. Somebody's dying.
Bugger. That's what I've been doing wrong.
That's it. Ghosts hate new things. If you have a persistent ghost, hang something new over your door.
What? Like a hole?
Like a hoe. A baby born at midnight will have the power to see and talk to ghosts. Interesting. I think that happens with more than just babies born at midnight.
Yeah.
If a rooster crows after dark, it's a sure sign that death is in the neighborhood. Huh. Death always travels in threes.
Yeah.
I fully believe this.
It's true. It's true.
I know. I know. This is something I fully believe as fact. Very, very strange. Ghosts enjoy hearing people sing and will gather from afar to listen. All right, well, that's not going to happen again. I'm never going to sing again. Rob loves to listen to me sing.
Well, you're nearly right. It makes me want to kill myself.
What? Wow. Christmas Eve is a favorite time for ghosts to walk the earth. Is that
When?
true? Christmas Eve.
I was born on Christmas Eve.
I know. So it's true then. You know what? Listen to this. Listen to this. I was watching this. Here we go. Back to TikTok again. I was watching this guy on TikTok who was talking about women. And he said the women, the female of any species, but let's say we're going to talk about humans right now. Women are the only of the available boxes to check that can bring in a new energy source from wherever that is into the world and have it land on Earth. So whether you're like religious, you could say that women are the only person that is the vessel to bring in a spiritual being from another realm to Earth. Or if you're atheist, at the very least, they're the only vessel in with which creates new energy by bringing in a new human being to the Earth. What? We are amazing. Let that sink in. That's why you had a prime minister that was a woman, because we are amazing.
Oh, dear me.
All right. Anyway, don't you think, though? It's not like deep.
Oh, yeah, it is. Have you been taking your meds again? Or not been taking them?
Have you brought a being into this Earth?
Have I? But
Have
I
you
know what I
birthed
was.
a human?
No, but I helped build it.
You did.
Oh, there, look, baby phone then. Not round of
Yeah.
applause.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I
Well, there you
birthed
go.
4 kids and I didn't get a round of applause. Okay. Horses and pigs can see death and ghosts. Horses and pigs. Well, pigs are super smart.
Yeah.
They're also mean mother effers.
Mother cookers.
Yeah. Wind chimes call up the dead, and we just got done. We just, because we're adults, we just watched the entire Harry Potter series, and Luna Lovegood says there's wind chimes blowing outside, and she says humans think these keep bad spirits away. They are wrong. That wasn't creepy or anything. And here
Luna
you go,
Love. What's her name?
Luna Lovegood.
That sounds like a 1970s porn star.
She's the sweetest character. She's so sweet and pure. Don't be talking about my Luna like that. Don't be talking about my Luna. And wind chimes will call up the dead. So I'm gonna take down my wind chime. If a bird comes into your house, it is a sign that death will soon befall the household. And Mr. M. No Man, that's his name on there down below, will tell you that him and I both had a very similar experience in this regard, but it wasn't. We had a very similar experience in this regard where a bird-like something flew into a building we were in, and we both his was tragic loss. We had somebody die. So I fully believe that one. If a dog howls while looking at the ground, he senses death is near.
Say that again, sorry.
If a dog howls while looking at the ground, he senses that death is near. If 3 people look in the mirror at the same time, the youngest of the 3 will soon die.
Gosh.
All right, I'm gonna stop there and give you some chance.
Give me some what?
A chance to go.
What, look in the mirror?
Do you have,
What are you
do you have a
talking
few older
about?
people handy? No, I'm going to give you a chance to do your
No,
spiel.
yeah, yeah, okay. I know what I'm talking about. In May 1972, a hiker saw a ghost from another time.
What? Oh, in
From another,
1972. Okay.
in 1972, a hiker saw a ghost from another time. The hiker was walking alone and noticed a heavy ground fog that started to surround him. He looked up, saw a person walking with a heavy coat and wide brimmed hat. The man slowly staggered about, looking at the ground. Oh, look, he must have been looking for his dog. As if he was looking for something that he'd lost. The man walked straight towards the hiker, still looking at the ground. So the hiker moved to avoid him. When they were close to each other, the man suddenly looked up at the hiker, who instantly became afraid of the man's cloudy blue eyes
Uh,
and stared straight through him. He was also shocked to realise that the man's clothes all seemed to come from a different time period. The hiker tried to say hello, but the man did not respond. After the hiker walked a little distance, he turned back, only to discover that the man had disappeared. Dun, dun, dun.
Interesting. Hmm. Okay. So let's talk about Bigfoot.
Yay!
Okay. So Native American cultures, the Appalachian Mountains were jam packed with um, Native Americans, and a lot of them even fought with the Union Army against the Confederacy. And a lot of the Appalachian population did as well because they didn't use slaves to um, manage their crops. So then the Confederacy would intentionally harm the Native Americans and the Appalachians community because they wouldn't fight for them. So which pushed a lot of the Appalachian communities even further back into the woods. Some of them have very little contact with other humans to this day because of that. And the folklore between them and the Native Americans is virtually the same in this regard as to Bigfoot, because in nearly all Native American folklore or legends, I should say, they include giant hairy beings. In the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm from, came the name Sasquatch. And that is still to this day a word that is used by many people to describe Bigfoot. To them, these giant hairy beings were um, protective of the woods. They were not to be feared. They would not harm them. They protected them from, aggressions from, like the Confederate Army. Um, Stop saying So that's why they moved back further into the woods, was to use this protection. So it's long been held that they 100% believe that there are Bigfoot. And the thing is that when British colonizers and settlers came over, they didn't have something in their history that was Bigfoot. Their history didn't include some sort of a ape-like something in the wild that smelled bad and all this stuff. But when they came to the United States, and they moved into the mountainous regions, they too started sending home reports about these giant, hairy, ape-like beings, and they were not friendly to those settlers or colonizers because to them they were, intruders. So it's really interesting because I was listening to a Native American speak the other day on I'm not even gonna tell you where, but and he was saying um, that he's a Christian, but also holds on to all of his Native American beliefs and legends and um, rituals. He says he believes that in his mind it lines up with the Christian philosophy that the world was destroyed in part because humans were mating with Nephilim, the prodigy of humans and giants. And so there was because of this, the earth was destroyed. In a lot of Native American folklore, the earth was destroyed because of the same reason, because of the giants and the mating between humans and giants. Um, and that they believe that the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, and whatnot is the leftover, the remaining existence of these Nephilims. What the?
Sorry, it's my phone. Sorry, I'm
It's
trying
making me
to.
like jump through the roof. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting take that they believe that they are some sort of a spiritual being
Yeah,
and could be the result of the giants and humans, and now these are the Nephilim.
yeah,
But I also thought it was interesting that the British people had reported big hairy creatures, giants, until they came here. I mean, it's not like we're right next to. It's not like we're right next to like where Adam and Eve is believed to have been the origins of the humans in Africa. It's, but over millions of years, I guess, and traveling. And,
well,
I don't
they
know.
reckon that the Earth was um, at one stage was landlocked, don't they?
Oh yeah, they walked over like up into Canada and up
Yeah,
where yeah, that was landlocked, and that's how they traveled down through here. Uh, that Inuit, Alaskans, Inuit natives. That's how that they have always been. That's where they have always been. They walked down and stayed there. And the Inuits are actually not genetically related to any of us, which is also
yeah,
an interesting thing. But um, I just found it really interesting to know that it's such a prevalent belief in the Appalachians because of the relationship between the Appalachians and the Native Americans and their combined sort of history and legends and beliefs.
yeah.
Even the Wendigo is actually a Native American belief.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Wendigo is just like for me, it's just like a werewolf,
Hmm.
really.
Well, it can imitate a human voice. It can imitate an infant crying, a woman screaming for help,
Yeah. I mean, I've been
and they fully
fascinated
believe
with
it. But
the Native American. Um, I've been very interested in them for a long time because I've told you this story before. Um, let's just put this down. My favourite author is a guy called Graham Masterson,
hmm
and he is part Native American. And he in a lot of his books, he writes fiction. In a lot of his books, he talks about Native American stuff and legends and folklore and stuff like that. And I just find it fascinating the way they look at nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just think it's amazing. But
anyway, so that's part of the Appalachian Bigfoot lore, or I should say legend. I'm gonna stop using the word lore because this is what they believe are true stories passed down. And do you got one more thing to do before we wrap up? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, about a little girl.
Okay.
Sometimes ghosts don't have to do much to be creepy. A young girl who was hiking with her parents experienced her first ghostly encounter after they stopped to camp for the night. Her father was fast asleep, but something was frightening her. She couldn't keep her eyes shut. The next morning, she found her mother and asked if she could go for a walk. While out exploring, her mother suddenly stopped. The girl followed her gaze and saw a hazy apparition standing against a tree not too far away. It was a man who looked calm and sad. After a tense few moments, the man just faded away, leaving the mother alone with the child.
Weird.
Crazy.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, can I just do this quickly?
Yeah.
Civil War Soldiers Home, Maryland.
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 Yeah.
Sorry.
I
In,
don't know.
in 1862, 3 major Civil War battles were fought over different passes on what is now Maryland. Sorry, I'm struggling with this word. Maryland. Maryland section of the Appalachian Trail. Many lives were lost in the bloodshed and carnage. The death count was so high that it seems some spirits still remain. See, I would never, ever, ever hike over somewhere that had been a battlefield for the American Civil War, because I think that is just asking for trouble. People hiking over the passes report seeing ghost soldiers, old campfires, and sounds that cannot of cannons blasting in the distance. On the top of that, near a farm of a man named Daniel Wise, the body of 58 soldiers was tossed down an old well and has caused reports of ghostly figures wandering around Wise's property. Oh, gosh. So many people lost their lives in the American Civil War and the War of Independence, didn't they?
So many people.
It's just astronomical.
It's hard to even process. Yeah. It really is hard to even process. Anyway, I think that what I love is the Appalachians is so full of history. I have no desire at all to go camping in the Appalachian Mountains.
No.
But it's just amazing. The history is really something.
The only way I would go camping is if I had a reinforced steel tent, and it's probably going to weigh too much to carry.
Yeah. What about a bomb shelter?
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
In the Appalachians. So we could just sit and watch it.
Yeah. Just put cameras out.
Yeah.
Do it. Rob and I have this dream that someday We'll live in a bomb shelter. It's not weird, all right? Okay. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for coming. If you would please give this video a thumbs up, I would really, really appreciate it. If you would share this channel with people who like all kinds of paranormal, also mysterious disappearances, um, unsolved crimes, strange crimes, any of those that you're interested in, or you know somebody who's interested in, please just send them over here. We have something for everybody.
Yeah.
And I'll see you next time. Night, Rob.
Goodbye, guys. Stay safe.
Bye.